Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're out here on a single digit day. We had a very frosty night last night. We got down to about 8 or 9 degrees for a real temp, and then with the windshield it was closer to 0 or 2 degrees. So it was freezing last night. 20-25 mile an hour winds. I can barely talk because my mouth is frozen. We're sitting about 59-60 degrees there because I had the doors open and was walking in and out. We got a lot of work done here. We are sitting here on day 3, and our compost heat, it's only blowing about 70, a little under 70 degrees. I can't get a good reading. I'm trying to prop that compost thermometer up. And here on day 3, I noticed that our water is certainly warming up the tube there. I don't know what the temp is on that. So we got this pile built 3 days ago. We're pushing 70 degrees on the outside of that copper. We might have a little bit warmer water coming through other than what I can pick up with this little gun, and it doesn't really like reflective surfaces very much. I also think we're losing some heat due to the lack of insulation between the greenhouse and the actual pile itself, but we are warming stuff up. It's definitely transferring heat because the highest reading I was able to pick up was about 80 degrees today on that, and we're pushing about 47, 46, 45. It's pretty chilly. 47, 49, around 50 degree water coming out of here. So that is awesome, especially since we were pushing 40 degree water to start, and it was even cooler this morning. We had 35 degree water to start when we came out here, turned everything on to start day 3. So I'm gonna get this compost pile temperature here also. So I just threw that compost thermometer out there real quick. I want to talk about our hoops and all of the heat transfer we're going to be able to get through here. I was just using this little cardboard tube that I had wrapped this poly around. It's what the poly came on. And get this block out of here. I was just pulling about half the heat and transferring it up, basically, and bagging all of the heat. I mean, this side's pretty well closed off. We got our warmer water. We've got all our plants in here. I may have smashed a few things down, but they were all protected from the frost last night. Our lavender in the back there, and that smells wonderful through this whole bed here. So we'll come down to this side here, basically get inside it. This is awesome. It is warm. It's about 80 degrees inside this little thing. So getting this covered up wasn't very easy inside the greenhouse. We basically just threw our hoops up and put 2 pieces of plastic because we didn't have a piece in one piece to fit the whole thing. So we used one side, and then we have another piece, and I just clamped it in the middle. It's not the prettiest tunnel system, but it is nice and tight and taut, and it touches the ground. So this is where I'm gonna have to transfer the heat from one tunnel to the next tunnel, because this entire bed right here is going to receive tunnels. You can see we started excavating, and we're going to put some insulation. We've got rigid insulation we're going to throw down in there, and we already tossed up a bunch of our old compost and bedding, our soil, so we're going to have some nice, good, rich stuff to work with here. Really good, rich compost. A bunch of used soil from all of our old pots we didn't sell and stuff like that. So we've got all of this, and I kind of made like a ridge point. So we've got about 4 inches where we kind of came through and cleaned this whole bed up here, and then we'll fill it back in with good soil, bring our covers over. We'll be insulated from the outside, and we'll be able to transfer all of this heat from the tube, which is obviously getting transferred into the floor of the greenhouse, because when I pick up the tube, I can feel that the bottom side's warm, and we're pushing 70-80 degrees in here all day, and we're only pushing about 50 degrees back in the tank, which definitely tells me we're putting some heat to the floor. So as long as I get all this covered up and insulate all of the heat that we're putting in here and all the energy we're putting into this, we should be able to grow all these plants throughout the entire winter here. You can see some of these shards and stuff definitely got some frost damage, but like the kales, our kales, we planted some of our mache or corn salad and just basically built up our wall. Got a nice new little bed. and this whole bed will be in the actual path and be covered in our tunnels. So we'll have our strawberries in there that are overwintering well. These ones that are uncovered are still alive. I want to kind of see between the two, ones that are covered and ones that might go dormant on me being uncovered. I'd really like to get my heading collards here covered up with some poly also. They are looking pretty darn good. We had some pest damage, but it got darn cold in here, so all the pests have died, and we're basically left with all of our plants, lots of soil to work, and just adding upon all these systems one upon another to really build upon the heat and insulation factors. It's super cool to be able to come out here. Me and my kids were out here working today, and they came down here and ended up washing their hands off in the water. So they had warmer water than the outside temps. They said it was warm, and then they dried their hands in the little compost tube. So having 70 to 80 degree air drying your hands isn't so bad in the winter time. I'm actually sweating in here, being dressed for the outside. Let's go check our compost temps here. I used anything I could find to pinch this tarp down here. So I put this a little closer to the outside. So this is about within 1.5 feet of the outside. That's sitting about 120 degrees right on the edge of the pile. I'm gonna stick this up in there a little. So I moved my thermometer about another 1.5 feet in, so we're about 3 feet in. I wanted to see, we're already encroaching the hot temps. And it's slowly rising still, so we've got really good temps. You can see the steam come up. For being so cold outside, we've got some darn good hot compost, and it was all free. We're getting some great temps inside the greenhouse. We're harvesting some of that heat already here on day 3, and that pile's not even fully active. I would like to see that pile after about a week of cooking, because the core of that is going to definitely heat up really well. And in my research, I found that a lot of wood chips that are used for biogesting or methane harvesting, like situations like that where they're being used for a fuel or a harvest source. The research showed that most of the piles were cooking on the inside, and they had a core and then they had an outer layer that insulated the core. So we wanted to turn the entire pile into a core so we have a whole burn throughout the entire thing this whole winter. So I just wanted to mention that to give the idea of how I wanted to do this. That's why I've insulated this so the cold temps don't seep in as much, and those leaf bags on the inside are warm, and everything with inside the leaf bags is composting. It was 120 degrees almost right inside the leaf bags there. So we got a lot of work done. We are achieving very good temperatures. We were sitting about 80 degrees inside this tunnel, and we were just wafting hot air out of the top of this tunnel. I kind of had it perched up. So we're basically going to connect both these tunnels and achieve good heating throughout the winter and as cheap as possible.